Back on In Focus tonight, the ANC Women's League Young Women's Desk has welcomed the representation of women in President Cyril Ramaphosa's cabinet. The desk particularly happy with the appointment of Women's League convener Maropene Ramokgopa to the position of Minister for Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. For more on this, we're now joined by the Young Women's Desk convener Phelekwa Mfuyo. Good to have you, and thank you very much for your time tonight on In Focus. Phelekwa, talk to me about your overall impression of the president's selection and why, particularly, you believe this is good for governance in the country.
Good evening, Thabo, and good evening to your viewers. I'm not sure if I've picked you up frankly on your question, but I think reason why we as the Young Women's Desk, firstly, we are pleased and very impressed with the decision of the President in his reconfiguration of the executive and focusing on the appointment of women and young women generally. And I think for us as the Young Women's Desk, we are excited over this decision, because also we of the view that first, the ANC really does not lack progressive policies and legislation out there. It lacks the political will and the kind of leadership that is able to run through the implementation of those policies, whom also will bring the required skills, the innovation that they will bring. That is why then the motivation of the appointment of young women and women generally, and also we've witnessed in this appointment generational needs as well. It makes us very, very happy. And also we see that these young women and women generally are women that they possess a number of skills. Yeah. Some of them have been government officials, and therefore they are not really new in government. They've worked with our government, and also they come from the political ranks as well. They are tried and tested young women. So we are very happy as the Young Women's Desk. Yeah.
Someone might say that, well, as you put it, the policy is not the issue in terms of the ANC. Others might even say that in terms of government itself, skills and capacity has always been there. But what needs to have been in place, one, is public integrity, two, accountability, three, respect for rule of law. Critical values that are required, particularly in public governance. And therefore, without these in place, you can change the paint color and put in representation and put in more women. It's not going to change how the ANC governs.
Precisely, and that is, again, I want to agree with you that lack of accountability and also lack of systems becomes a greater a challenge. But however, we're coming from the 55th conference of the ANC, where the ANC, part of its renewal a project and renewal position is to strengthen the accountability of its work and of its deployees again, and also that is why it has put out in making sure that it has even a second deputy Secretary General who is going to be seized with the issues of monitoring and planning and evaluation, and making sure that the deployed comrades that are deployed in government and in various structures that are there, including legislature, that are able to fully account back not only to the organization but account on the work that they are given and also they are responsible for. And through this as well, this ministry and in planning, monitoring and evaluation, it is not a new ministry. What makes us even more excited about it is that it is the first time headed by a woman, and whom we believe that also is a woman that has enough skills in making sure that the work of government is streamed, and also the policy, the systems are in place and understood by everyone that is deployed in various departments that also carry the mandate of making sure that the policies of the ANC are implemented in our government.
While we are there, let's talk about it. One would say it's wishful thinking on the part of the young woman's desk to say that this department is really going to make any difference. As you put it, it's not new. It's not a new department. Yes, maybe now it might have a female minister. It's always been there. It has done nothing in terms of ministers meeting their targets. They'll be evaluated and they would still not meet targets and still be kept in their position. So why do you think it's going to be any different now?
You must understand that this ministry alone it will not carry out the work that is supposed to be done by different departments. But what we are sure of is the kind of leadership that has been put not only in this department, but that is put across the departments that the president has appointed. And for us, why then we say that we believe that this particular department will be able to function its responsibilities is because also, yes, we are we trust the cadre that is deployed there. Because she understands, because of the experiences as well that she has, and she understands fully how that department is ought to function, and also what systems need to be deployed or revived around the department so that it is able to meet its targets, is able to make sure that it holds the other ministers accountable. It holds the other departments accountable as well in making sure that everyone is able to do their responsibilities within the framework of our government. And I think it should not only be the excitement of young women's desk, but I think South Africa at large, seeing young women and young men that are there, particularly this one is a young woman, it gives hope. It gives hope to our people that they are coming up with fresh ideas that are going to revive the department itself and also relook to what has not been working before and what can work at this point in time.
I want to be as excited as you are about this appointment, but I'm failing to see how Maropene Ramokgopa will be able to rep Gwede Mantashe around the knuckles. He's senior to her in the party, senior to her in experience in these areas of running the party and how the structures work together. How is she going to call Gwede Mantashe and say, come, I'm going to wrap you around the knuckles for lack of delivery? How exactly do you see that happening?
But with due respect, Thabo, I think our leaders, they respect authority, and it is not about as to how she would be able to make sure that a senior comrade is able to account. And I think all our leaders, including from the president, everyone respects authority. Let us start from there. And I think everyone will be able to work together with this department, because the ANC has come back energized, has come back understanding that it has worked, it has done its strides. There's good work that the ANC has done, and we should not really, when we are talking to the work of this government, and speak as if all things have been going wrong. But we must acknowledge where there are gaps. And we are saying that this department is going to look into those gaps. It is going to introduce, if there's a need to introduce new systems, it is going to introduce new systems. And because it has capable young people who are also bringing their own experience, their own skills to the department. And I think for us, we should be able to give that positive outlook to our people. And because really our people out there are excited, that we should not take away from that. They are excited to see younger people that are coming on board, and also seeing young women in particular that are coming on board, because they are not only coming there to sit, they are coming there with experiences. They are coming there with new skills that are required to implement policies of our government.
So, speaking of new systems, I see you've commented and you've done your analysis on the number of the portfolios, but you've neglected to comment on the minister who's going to be in charge of the youth. Why are you not saying anything about this minister who's going to be in charge of the youth? Do you believe a minister who's well into her twilight years will be able to bring new systems that are going to be relevant to young women?
Come again, which minister?
Minister of Women, People with Disabilities and Youth.
Oh, yes. Remember that institutional memory, experience, and we're well aware of the current minister, Dr. Nkosazana Zuma, coming into the Department of Women, Youth and People Living with Disabilities. She brings her experience. She's been in government, and therefore should not, for me, it should not be an issue of an age everywhere. It can't be. It can be correct if ever we are going to say that all we just need young and relatively young everywhere. We also ought to acknowledge the institutional memory. Yeah. We ought to acknowledge the experience that has been gained by those that have been there. And Mam Nkosazana is one of those leaders that have been around there in government, and that also women, who's also a women activist herself, and being in that department as well, she will be able to run the programs around the issues of women, youth as well, and people living with disability.
Yes, it's bizarre to many young people how you believe she will have that kind of energy. Don't you think it would be she would be a better fit to have a young person there with the energy and the vigor of young people and that passion, who'll understand, for example, how to use a simple thing as social media for communication?
Well, you'll be alarmed how she also knows how to use the technology, how she knows how to use the innovative ways of bringing ideas. And also, this is the very same minister that has worked across from your home affairs to local government. And for me, the issue of experience, it cannot be washed away just because we want to put young women or young people. Whilst we agree that young women and young people, they are bringing innovative ideas. But one cannot, in rebuilding and in any process of transformation, you cannot just get rid of those that has the experience in the industry. I beg to differ with you, and I think majority of South Africans there understand that as much as one would want to see young women filling all the executive positions, but one has to be rational and also be logical about the issues that will require in order for us to have a smooth and an effective government. We cannot clean away that experience.
Phelekwa, I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on tonight. Phelekwa Mfuyo, she is the Young Women's Desk convener for the ANC's Women's League. Well,